Welcome to the set of Cutthroat Island. Here we go.
Cutthroat Island stars Gina Davis, Matthew Modine, and Frank Langella.
Matthew, you okay?
This is really like every kid's fantasy. You get to build your own pirate world, and you get to have all the tools, all the toys, blow up things, sail big ships, do big storms.
We head straight through it! That's so exciting. Like, you're kidding me? Go hard, man! It's a one rope!
It's a real hero's tale, and it's also a romantic love story.
Give me the map. Give me a kiss first.
It's Fantasyland. It's a dream come true. It's the biggest pirate adventure ever.
It's just something that I've always wanted to do, is to play an action part, and this is so much more than I could have ever expected.
Climbing up cliffs, falling off cliffs, doing underwater scenes, hanging off the carriage, being punched in the face.
You're hitting a woman!
It's being chased by redcoats, several horses, people shooting at them, people climbing on top of the carriage, and Morgan and Shaw trying to run away.
When I read the script, it was like, wow, this is one of those things that you dream about doing as a child, and it's come to life, and you have the good fortune of being given the opportunity to be a part of it.
Give me the map!
When you walk onto a ship this size and you've got 100 sailors working for you and you see cannons going off, it's really a very exciting adventure.
From the director of Cliffhanger and Die Hard 2, Rennie Harlin's Cutthroat Island is a swashbuckling action adventure for all ages that takes place on the high seas of the Caribbean in 1668, when the men were daring, and so were the women. In Cutthroat Island, which was shot in Thailand and Malta, Gina Davis plays Morgan Adams, a pirate's beautiful daughter who is left a portion of a coveted treasure map. Her father sacrifices his life to give it to Morgan and withhold it from the sinister dog, Brown.
Morgan, you are clever, Morgan, but I will catch you. Uncle Dog will have his day.
To avenge her father's death, Morgan commands his boat and sets sail to find the 2 remaining pieces of the map and lay claim to the legendary fortune of Cutthroat Island.
40 pounds to end the bidding.
Sail to the lady with the monkey.
In an effort to decipher some of the map's contents, Morgan buys the swindler and cheat William Shaw.
There's something kind of wonderful about the pirates and their search for freedom and independence.
One of the biggest challenges was building the 2 main pirate ships. The Morning Star and the Reaper were built to actual size. Before taking to the sea with the ships in Thailand, Harlan needed to control the sea for many complicated sequences. So, Harlan shot in an ingenious water tank on the island of Malta, situated on a bluff facing the open ocean. When the tank is filled, it provides a seamless horizon of water and sky.
I feel that this is the biggest movie I'll ever make, and I just don't think that there are many chances to make movies with sailing ships and incredible big sets and this kind of spectacle, and I'm very lucky to do it.
This is absolutely the kind of part that you become an actor for. It's just a fantasy. It's so much fun. I don't want to stop shooting. I can't believe that we have to actually stop at some point, and I don't get to be a pirate anymore.
We're trying to recreate one of those 40s adventure film sea battles. What are you going to do in this set?
We're gonna blow up that ship.
You are all mad, insane pirates.
9 cameras, no waiting.
We're not going to swing across.
Everybody should stand by. We're getting ready to go hot.
I'm getting a little bit nervous.
3, action.
Open fire!
Remy.
There you are, Morgan!
Let's finish this.
Come up! Come up to him!
Planning to fight me with that little stick.
Cutthroat Island.
Gina, how did this project come to you?
Well, I happened to be married to the director, and it came rather easily, in fact. Actually, Rennie had been developing this project for a while before we met. But then it actually started all coming together and happening, and there was this part for a female pirate, and it all worked out.
So how does one prepare for the part of a female pirate?
Well, in lots of really fun ways. We watched a million pirate movies, and we read every book about pirates, and also I had very extensive training for the kinds of stunts that I was going to have to do. I had 6 months of fencing lessons and horseback riding and swimming and weight training and everything like that.
What kind of stunts? Can you tell us what kind of stunts you have in this picture?
Yeah, I do everything. I do everything you can possibly think of in this movie. I have scenes underwater, hanging from a cliff, diving off buildings, driving a horse carriage, riding a horse. Just about everything you can do, I have to do, and of course a lot of sword fighting. Yeah.
Is any of it scary?
Yes, a lot of it is scary, but it's not dangerous. I know it's not dangerous because we have safety people and stunt coordinators, and everything is very well planned. But yet you're very excited because it still feels like something could go wrong. Like you're not totally sure what the horse is going to do, and even though they say, well, this bomb is going off next to you, but it won't touch you. You still know that there's a bomb, and things like that. You know, it can make you very have a lot of adrenaline.
A woman pirate. How realistic is that?
Actually, there were female pirates, and they were actually quite famous and quite deadly. There were, I guess, the most famous female pirates were Anne Bonny and Mary Read, who were known for being some of the most ferocious people at that time.
Now, does this captain here have a love interest as well?
I have, you know, I think we imply that I've had a lot of love interests in my shady past, but in fact, then I start falling for the slave I buy, played by Matthew Modine, and why wouldn't I? He's so adorable that of course I do.
What is he like to work with, Matthew?
So much fun. He's totally a gem. He's really just fun and filled with joy and delightful, and also I think he's just so captivating in the movie. He's really charming and looks like Errol Flynn, and he just really was wonderful.
When you're hanging there on the mast, I mean, you were hanging on the mast. Yeah. How does it feel when you're up there?
Terrifying. I'm actually afraid of heights, so it was a little tough. But you know, my character is not, so I have to just act strong, and I have to win and battle. So I did.
How does it work when the director is your husband?
It's wonderful, actually. We love being together. We love working together, and we both really loved the movie. So it was actually really inspiring to be able to work hard on something together and be together all the time.
What would you say was the most difficult part of it?
Probably, I think the main thing you need to do a movie like this is you have to be very, you have to have a lot of endurance, because even though it's really fun, it's long hours and you have to do a lot of takes, and it's very, it can be very strenuous. And then you finish a scene one day that was very difficult, and you realize, but tomorrow I have to hang from the cliff, and oh no, so it can be very challenging.
The stunts there's some amazing stunts that obviously you are doing. How difficult are those?
They were difficult. They were difficult, and I couldn't believe the things that I was doing. But Rennie really believes that the most fun people can have watching a movie is if they can tell that it's really the actor. So he made me do everything. I did everything.
Will you do another action picture with him?
I am doing another action picture with him. I'm going to start shooting it in just a few weeks. In fact, it's called The Long Kiss Goodnight, and we're going to do that very soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It's just something that I've always wanted to do, is to play an action part, and this is so much more than I could have ever expected. The fact that it's such a fantastic script and a period movie, and the kind of character things I get to do beyond just the action. And then the action is twice, 3 times as much as any action movie I've ever seen. I mean, we just every single day are doing some stunt or something. I've never seen anything like this, so I can never complain again that I haven't got to do a lot of really cool stuff. This is my full armament for the big battle. I have all my guns. I have this gun that is pretty unique. It has 2 barrels, which was kind of rare. It's called an over and under, because they're one on top of the other there. And I have these 2 pistols. I have my gloves. This is another fancy lion head pistol that was supposedly my father's. This is my sword, which is also my father's. This is my dagger. That's the pouch with the gunpowder and all that. Yeah, people had so many guns because they only fire once, and you don't want to stand around reloading in the middle of a battle. So what I do in the scene is I shoot them and chuck them away. So I end up without any guns and just my 2 swords.
Tráilers.
He is the perfect choice for this part. We couldn't have done better. He's just extraordinary. He's so charismatic and handsome. In this part, he looks just like a young Errol Flynn, I think. The whole look of him is just fantastic, and he just has the perfect personality to pull off this part. He's supposed to be a real tricky, sly, winning kind of a guy, and he has great style for this, and obviously a really good actor. Everybody knows that he's a brilliant actor, but people are going to really love him in this part, I'm sure. For us, it's just a dream come true. We're just having the time of our lives. To spend as much time together as possible in all circumstances is our goal, but to do it under these circumstances is just extraordinary. To make this movie that we both put so much into and care so much about together, and have it go so well like this, and just feel like this is great. This is really what we wanted to do, and it's just been an incredible experience. It's just so big. It's just such a big movie. You can see the scale of everything. It's so enormous that it's. I'm just so impressed every day with the fact that Rennie can do all this, and that I get to be a part of it. Oh, this is absolutely the kind of part that you become an actor for. It's really incredible, and I don't think it's hard at all. I think it's just fun. It's hot or whatever, and it's a lot of physical challenges, but I don't care. It's just a fantasy. It's so much fun to get to do all this stuff. I don't want to stop shooting. I can't believe that we have to actually stop at some point, and I don't get to be a pirate anymore.
Matthew, how did this project come to you?
How did it come to me? I was lying in bed and had this premonition of pirates and and explosions and romantic adventure. And then I woke up and the phone was ringing, and it was Rennie Harlin asking me if I would come to Paris and meet with he and Gina. And I said, I can't do that. I have to. My father's coming on Monday. And hey, well, don't worry, we'll have you back. You'll be delivered back by Concorde to New York City, and you'll never miss your father. We just want to speak to you for a few minutes. So I climbed aboard the Concorde and flew at twice the speed of sound across the Atlantic Ocean and arrived in Paris in this beautiful hotel at the Place de Concorde. And then we went and met with Rennie and Gina, and we talked about the movie, and I went back to my hotel room, and then I was thinking, if they call me, I had another premonition. I said, if they call me and ask me to dinner to eat caviar, then I've got this job. And then they called me up and asked me if I would go to the caviar house. And I met Mario Casar, and I left the meeting knowing that I was going to get this job. And I returned to New York, and I saw my father, and they offered me the movie, and I got it. That's how it came to me. And the next thing you know, I was taking sword fighting classes and with some crazy Russian who knew nothing about stage or combat or film choreography, and he just fought me and beat me and hit me until I learned how to defend myself. And then I was on a plane to Malta, where I met many other crazy Englishmen who were hitting and punching each other, and then I learned how to fight in a movie, and then I learned how to dance the minuet, and then I started rehearsing with Gina, and we became really good partners, and the rest is history.
Well, let's take these one bit at a time.
What a blathering idiot. I pulled the string on the back of my head.
Now, what kind of a director is Rennie?
Well, he's got the longest hair and the deepest voice of any director I've ever worked with. And he's a physical director. He's the first Finnish director I've ever worked with. And he speaks a language that is not spoken anyplace else on the planet, that nobody else can understand. And they speak really fast, Finnish people. And but if I was going to describe him as a type of director, I would say he's very physical, very muscular.
Does that reflect in the film he made?
I believe so. All that kind of chaos and explosions and running, and I don't think the movie ever stops. It's like a roller coaster. You sit down in the theater, and then it starts, and it doesn't stop till the credits roll.
I mean, some of those stunts, I mean, you're actually doing them. There's no question about it. How difficult is it?
Well, it's difficult, but I like it. I think it's really fun. I'm very comfortable up in the air, swinging around. I really like it. The only thing that was really scary was the carriage chase, because there's so many things that can go wrong with the horses and the carriage and people running in front. A wheel could come off, a horse could rear up, Gina could fall off the back, and I'd feel responsible for all of these things. So I didn't feel so much in charge of that whole situation.
Can you tell us a little about your character?
Well, I say that I would say that Shaw is an opportunistic character, like the colonists that must have been coming to America and to the Caribbean at the time, looking for riches and opportunity, and the opportunity of redefining themselves. That they don't have, where in Europe at the time you were so much judged on who you were and what your past was, that when people came to America at that time, they could reinvent themselves. So I think he's an opportunistic character who's redefining himself all the time and pretending to be many different things and different kinds of people, and he can lie about anything he wants because nobody knows who he is. He's a liar.
Now there's a real role reversal. It's like instead of a man chasing the woman, Gina's character is chasing you. How does it feel to be pursued like that?
Well, she's a pretty attractive gal, so I don't mind getting chased by a big kind of Amazonian woman like Gina.
What would you say was the most challenging part about the shoot?
I don't know. I think just making it fun for a contemporary audience. There's no reason to make a movie like this today unless you make it at least as good as one of those old ones, the old black and whites. So the challenge, I suppose, was to make it fun for a contemporary audience, to make it fresh, and I think we did that. I think we accomplished that.
Did you ever have any hopes or dreams that you might be in a pirate movie or a pirate situation?
Hopes or dreams I might be in a pirate. I suppose I found myself, you see. I've let it out of the bag. I'm many different people. I'm psychotic. I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask the question again.
Okay.
Did you ever want to be in a pirate movie? Did you ever imagine that you'd be in a pirate movie?
You think that's going to change it by asking the question again? I'm going to give you... Oh, God.
Let's try it differently. When you were a kid...
Yes, when I was a kid.
Did you ever play pirate?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I played pirate when I was a kid with my friends. We'd hit each other with sticks and throw rocks at each other. And we pretended to be the Green Hornet or Batman or James Bond or Dracula. All kinds of different things. I suppose that's when I started acting. When I was those things, putting on those different costumes and pretending to be those people, and then really taking it seriously when I was about 11 years old. When I started taking singing and tap dancing and tumbling, gymnastics, because I decided I wanted to be an actor. Not a bad way to make a living.
No, this is it. Thank you.
I start to learn a little bit more about Morgan's character than I had assumed. And see, she purchases me at a slave auction. I'm a prisoner, and I assume that she's a lady because of the way she's dressed and the way that she looks. I would never have assumed that she was a pirate, and so there I am. I find myself being purchased and looking forward to this perhaps somewhat life of luxury, and then suddenly, all hell breaks loose, and I'm being defended and swept away by this very adventurous young lady. I think the first thing that you'd find distinct about working on a film like this is the number of cameras that Rennie uses, and not only is he using multiple cameras, but he has multiple monitors that he watches while he's directing the film. And I mean, I don't know of any director that does that. When you see a movie like this, you kind of wish that you could have lived in that time or been in that movie, and so when I read the script, it was like, wow, this is one of those things that you dream about doing as a child, and it's come to life, and you have the good fortune of being given the opportunity to be a part of it. Certainly, I don't think that any of the pirate movies that I've ever seen have had this scale. This movie's huge, and I mean, from what is behind me to the carriage chase, the storm, the dog's camp, the treasure. I mean, it's all just on an enormous scale, and I mean, if you were going to make a pirate movie today, you'd want it to be at least as good as those ones that were done so brilliantly in the past, and I think that we've all sort of stepped up and made one that, you know, dare I say, if it's not as good, it may be even bigger and better than the ones in the
Trailers,
past.
visita mi canal.
Not as one as big as this, and it feels wonderful. It's an extraordinary film to work on. This film in particular, when you walk onto a ship this size and you've got 100 sailors working for you and you see, and Rennie plays great music when you're working and the cannons are going off, it's really a very exciting adventure. I started out in the theater playing epic roles, big roles, in epic plays. But, you know, most films don't do this sort of thing anymore. They just don't. Or if they do them, they're rather stodgy and respectful. This is a real boys' own adventure film.
Rennie, why did you decide to make a pirate movie?
Pirate movies, it's been a fantasy of mine. I loved pirate movies when I was a kid. I played pirates all the time. So when I was given this screenplay a couple of years ago, I said, "You gotta be kidding! This is heaven." I was very, very excited.
And then what was the procedure? What was the next step?
Well, we started looking for locations. The very first step was that I went to the Bahamas with the producer Mario Casar, who said, "Well, there's one part of this movie that I like, and it's the exotic locations." So we went to look at some locations and soon determined that Caribbean was not necessarily the place where we would shoot the movie, though it had beautiful places. They were hard to get to. It was impossible to house 500 people and so on. So we started looking at locations in other places and then decided to shoot in Malta and Thailand. And then we got into casting, and we got there was a very strong female role in the movie, so we got Gina involved in the movie, and then continued with all the other preparations. And for a year, we built the ships and the sets and made thousands of costumes and weapons and planned all the stunt sequences and so on.
How, from a director's point of view, how is Cutthroat, say, different from a different action movie like Cliffhangers?
Well, first of all, it's not a contemporary story. So what we had to deal with was ships and horses and horse carriages and elements like that. And my goal was to make this movie just as exciting as any contemporary action movie. So with these elements, I had to create sequences that people haven't seen before. And also, it was a great chance for me to create my fantasy world, because everything you see in the movie is pretty much manufactured for the movie. So I didn't want to be too literal to the historical details, but make a movie that everybody could really have fun with.
How does your film, Cutthroat Island, how does it fit with other pirate movies?
Well, I love movies like Seahawk and Captain Blood, those old Errol Flynn movies, and I wanted to make a movie that uses some of that tradition and some of those cliches that those movies had, but updates it to the 90s and makes it very, very modern in its attitudes. So naturally, we have more action than those movies. Our movies is very modern in a sense that it offers the sort of a roller coaster ride that the 90s adventure movies do, but it still has sort of a spirit of those old movies.
How realistic is it historically to have a woman pirate?
Actually, there were a lot of women pirates in the 16th and 17th century. One of the most famous being Anne Bonny, and some of them actually did become captains. So I think that era was, among pirates, was maybe more democratic than ours today, because as long as you were tough and you could get through the battles, you were equals.
Why Matthew Modine?
Matthew Modine, I think, was a real untapped source. Like Keanu Reeves in Speed, I thought that Matthew could really break out as an action hero, because he has the looks, he has the size, he has the skill, he's a great actor, has a sense of humor, and he's very athletic, though he hasn't done that kind of things before.
This is Gina's first big action picture. Were you convinced that she'd be able to pull it off?
Yes, from the time when I got to know Gina, I realized that she was one of those women who wasn't allowed to really do a lot of stuff when she was a kid. She wanted to do the stuff that boys do, but she was told not to do that and be careful not to fall down. So I think there was always a rebel inside her to, break out. And in this movie, she was really able to do things, swing from mast to mast and do sword fighting and hang from cliffs and ride horses, kind of things she always wanted to do. And I knew how coordinated she was, and I knew that she could really pull it off.
Rennie, can you comment on the role of technology in the stunts in this picture?
The way I try to achieve sequences nowadays is by putting the actors really in the middle of the action. I think the audience is very sophisticated, and to show a wide shot of a stuntman and a close-up of the actor, it doesn't work anymore. So I think the audience really appreciates if the star does it themselves. And to make that happen, we can use modern technology where we make it safe by using harnesses and wires and all kinds of safety systems that then can be digitally erased from the shots later on.
What was your biggest? What would you say was the biggest challenge about this picture?
I think the biggest challenge was to be able to control the seafaring sequences, to do the sea battles and storms in a controlled environment, and that's why we went to Malta, where they have huge water tanks where you can shoot these kind of sequences. We built the ships there, and we shot most of the complicated things there. And the challenge was to keep everything in sync between two countries, between Thailand and Malta, shoot for 6 months, and have all the pieces of the puzzle fit together in the end.
Pitfalls of a period piece?
I had a fantastic time making a period movie. I got to create my own fantasy world, and the only challenge is always to make it modern enough so that people can relate to it, yet be faithful enough to the period so that it doesn't feel like it's a movie taking place in the 90s, but people are just wearing very old costumes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's all about pirate ships and storms and sea battles and sword fighting and all the sort of exciting things, treasure islands, skulls and crossbones, white beaches, crystal clear water, jungles with animals, snakes, things attacking the people. It's a real hero's tale, and it's also it's a real hero's tale, and it's also a romantic love story set against this incredible 17th century background. I'm from Finland, and my ancestors, Vikings, they used to cruise around the world, and I've always lived close to the sea and always had boats myself, and I'm a sailor myself, so to be able to build your own fully operational 150-foot pirate ship that is fully working sailing ship, it was really fantastic. Yes, we are trying to recreate one of those 40s adventure film sea battles and do it with the modern technology, and hopefully make it quite big and exciting. And we've been planning this for a year. We built 2 150-foot ships, and they each have about 80 cannons, and the sequence is going to take a long time to shoot, and has a lot of very complicated special effects involved in it. And instead of using miniatures, what was the way of yesterday, we are trying to do the whole sequence for real, with real ships. And part of it will be done here in the tank in Malta, and part of it will be done in Thailand. Well, when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of pirates and all the literature and all the old 40s Errol Flynn movies about pirates. And it was always my dream as a director to make a movie that is a sort of a historical epic. And I got my chance to make this pirates adventure film that kind of combines everything that I dreamed of. And for a director to create a world like this takes place in the 17th century, where you can use your imagination and take some license using the basic elements of that period, but also sort of building your own dream pirate world. Now, through a lot of research and a lot of artwork, a lot of drawings, paintings, and so on, we have recreated this world. And just personally, this is I feel that this is the biggest movie I'll ever make. And I just don't think that there are many chances to make movies with sailing ships and incredible big sets and this kind of spectacle, and I'm very lucky to do it. This is really like every kid's fantasy. You get to build your own pirate world, and you get to have all the tools, all the toys, all the special effects, blow up things, sail big ships, do big storms.
Trailers. Visita mi canal.
It's Fantasyland. It's a dream come true. The reason for using so many cameras is really to be able to cover the action from as many angles as possible. And as you can see, this is a huge set with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of extras and horses and all kinds of complicated elements. So rather than shoot it several times, we try to limit the times of all the specific actions to as few as possible, and then we cover it from so many angles. Then when I cut it all together, it creates a very exciting action sequence. Gina does all her stunts herself in the movie, and I've hung her from the mast. One of her sword fights is in the mast top, and I've hung her from 300-foot cliffs where she has to be climbing up the cliff. She's done underwater sequences and huge battle sequences, sword fights, flinging from mast to mast.
Run! Action!
Connected to all the great families. Natural voice. Perfect for the line.
Fantastic! Let's give a little applause to these guys.
Wow.
On your feet, you.
Ask me politely. You anticipate too much. It's more like a fencing move. Any fool can do it.
I hope you enjoy pain, slave, because I intend to buy you.
Cut. Very good.
Four.
Action!
3, 2, 1, action! That's
Cut!
Cut! 1, 2, 3, go! Cut!
Logan, in sweet memory of my bouncing you on my knee when you were a little girl, I'm going to ask you for your daddy's piece of the map.
Trailers.
All you get from me is the point of my cutlass.
Somehow I knew you'd say something like that. And then we'd fall to oaths and threats. Well, let's cut through the talk, shall we? I have something just for you, my little niece.
I saw that, little niece. I remember from when you were small, you always flinched when you saw your Uncle Douglas. Give me the map or you'll regret it. The map! The map! The map! Very good. Very good.
1, 2, 3, now! Action!
Tom Scully, if you must have me dead, at least have the courage to do it yourself. Don't pretend I can survive in this storm.
I take no more orders from you, Win. I am captain now. One, two, three, action!
folks. And action, background action, action.
Rolling. D-Marks.
And background action. Action.
Clear stop now.
Exactly.
To the captain!
Mr. Blair, prepare to come about. Heading south-southeast.
On to your stations, men! Prepare to come about south-southeast! Rewind ship!
I would like to see you in my cabin. Immediately.